Today we're going over basic dirt bike maintenance and pretty much the daily necessities that I do to keep my bike running great all year long. It's really not that much stuff, but I figured I could help a few people out that don't really know, so let's get into it. First step to this, getting this damn bike washed and getting it out of the van. I honestly hate tie straps and they kind of just piss me off sometimes. But that's just me being psycho and we need them every day. Turns out my bike went through the van, so that's awesome. Had to yank it out of there real hard. Got to unload here, and turns out I've actually never slipped and busted my knee on a foot peg, and I really don't ever want to. So as long as I'm not using a truck, I feel like I should be okay, and we probably won't have that problem. We're going to get the bike laid down here so we can wash the underside of it, but I did forget that I have a fully broken spray washer, so we're going to have to get this thing done with the hose. Good thing I have a hose nozzle here, and that should pretty much save my life with this wash. Get the water turned on here and get this thing sprayed down. This was a pain in the ass and I time-lapsed it, but turns out GoPro chest mount and time-lapse do not go well together and it looks like shit. Want a new spray washer. I'm gonna have to buy one, but I had to get in here with some Motul spray and a brush to get all the stuff off the plastics because it was just not coming off with just the hose. And we also had to scrub the tire down a bit here because it was just a big pain in the ass. Okay, I don't want to hear about it. But we got the bike cleaned up and it looked pretty good at the end here, better than I thought it would. Hopefully I ride again soon and have a spray washer so I can actually wash it. But we're going to get it in the garage now. And we're going to end up throwing it on a triangle stand because you boys got to change the oil in this thing. I've rode it like 6 times, including Glamis. So I'm going to grab my oil pan so I could drain the oil out. Luckily, bikes are so easy to change the oil. A lot of people complain, but I genuinely think it's one of the easier things to do. So I got my 13T handle and get that boy loosened up. It was a little tighter than I thought it was. Almost broke my finger right there, but we got it out. Got our fingers covered in oil. I hate the 450 design because it just goes all over the frame. The 250 is not like that. That oil honestly looks kind of new considering how much I've ridden on it, which is my surprise because we rode in Glamis. When you ride in Glamis, the oil gets just absolutely annihilated. So we're going to get the bolt tightened back up here. Don't tighten it too much, guys. You can strip it pretty easy. We're going to grab some chain lube now. I recommend always lubing your chain after you wash your bike, or else your thing's going to get rusted up. Or you could go with a air compressor and just blow it off, but I just use chain lube. It's easier. So now we're going to end up throwing some gloves on here because we got to do everybody's favorite part of the bike wash, which is the air filter. I hate cleaning air filters. It's genuinely the worst thing ever. I'd much rather change the oil on bikes consistently because air filters are going to be the death of me, I swear. I know I should send them to DT1 and just have them do them, but I really don't feel like it. We're actually going to wash this other one that I have. Everyone says take these out when you wash them. I don't take mine out. I think it messes up the air filter, honestly. So I'm going to dump this out. Me talking about messing up the air filter when I literally use gas every single time, but I've never had a problem with it. People usually say that gas is not the way to go, but I've used gas. It's the cheapest option, and honestly, it's the easiest. Basically, you just get your air filter in there, scrub it down the most you can, and then just drain it out, shake it out a little bit, do what you got to do to get that gas out of there, and then you're good to go. Grab some wash. You could use Simple Greens, Windex, it doesn't fucking matter. Spray the whole thing off, and then rinse it out with the hose, and then squeeze it again. Basically, you're just trying to get as much water out as you possibly can. Luckily, I don't have any sun, so yeah, that's awesome. We're going to throw it under this little fan I have, though, because I don't feel like waiting till the morning to put it back in the bike. This fan dries them off pretty quick, so we're going to get our gloves off here. We're done with the prostate inspection. Going to grab our funnel and our oil because it's time to fill this puppy up. These little screws hurt your fingers when it's cold outside, I swear. I don't know how you people do it that live in the snow and ride bikes. I wouldn't be able to function at all. Luckily, we run Motul oil, which is the best stuff on the market. So we're going to fill this bike up. I don't measure my shit, guys. I just dump it in there and go with it. When I see that it's like half filled on the glass, I just do a little more, and then that's pretty much all I do for my oil. I don't get too crazy with it. I think that's the best way to do it. So now that our air filter is dried off here, we're going to get our gloves on. Boom, nice little transition there. That was beautiful, Dayton. Props to yourself. So now it is time to get our air filter all oiled up. Now, when it's cold out, this stuff is literally such a bitch to rub in. I just get a nice coat on there, and then I had to sit here and wiggle it around and rub it just to get it to break up, honestly. And then once I got it rubbed in, we were chilling. Or once it was heated up, technically, then it rubs in easy. So we got it back in the cage. We're trying to figure out which way it goes. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but we figured it out pretty easy. I know a lot of people run the one without the metal inside, so I'll probably end up doing that in the future here. Got that in there without getting any dirt dropped in the air boot, which is always a good time. And gloves off round 2. Now I'm going to spray off around it and just get it cleaned up. Definitely don't spray it off while it's open, guys. Terrible idea. Now, this is the part that a lot of people probably aren't going to do from this video, but I do recommend greasing your axles at least once a week. When I ride sand tracks, I grease them every time I go ride because they literally just get destroyed, and I'm not trying to have to replace wheel bearings or anything because I am lazy as shit. But you guys could see how dirty that axle is with sand in it. That's how you destroy wheel bearings and just a bunch of other stuff and mess up your axle. So get that cleaned off really well, and then you're just going to grab some grease and give it a good layer. Don't get too crazy with it, but just enough so you can see it on the whole thing. And then clean out your clean out your axle blocks as well. Gonna get the chain out of the way so we could slip the axle in here. There's been multiple times where I had to take it out because the chain was on the other side because your boy's absolutely retarded. But guess what? We got that in there, got our axle blocks in and our little nut on there, and we're gonna get that puppy tightened up and we're good to go to the front. So pretty much same thing on the front here, but I am gonna explain to you guys how to tighten it. A lot of people don't understand there is a certain way to tighten your front end, and then they end up binding their front wheel, and they always wonder why their bike feels like shit, and that's part of the reason why. So we're going to go over that as well. So we're just going to get these bolts off here, pull that axle out. The front's a lot easier than the back because the front wheel's so damn light. This one's really rusted, so I'm going to grab some carb cleaner, give it a spray down, use a rougher rag here just to get it super cleaned off. I usually would Scotch-Brite them like on a race bike, but on this thing I don't really care because it's going to get destroyed anyways. So same concept, just get a bunch of grease on there, then you're going to slide it back in there, and boom, you're good to go. But here comes the technical part, how to tighten the front wheel. So I tighten mine to 12 Newton meters, so I'm going to set my thing to that, and then you want to tighten this side first, so tighten the left side bolts, both of them, all the way until you're clicking them on each side. Then what you do after you tighten the left side is you tighten the nut. Then you're going to tighten the other 10s on the right side. That's how you tighten your front wheel without it binding. Don't tighten the 17 or the 10s or all of them at one time because then you're going to mess it all up. My front end's a little loose here, so I thought that it wouldn't hurt for me to tighten this up for when I do start riding again. I'm not going to have to worry about it. Basically, you just loosen the top clamp completely and the one in the middle. Then you're going to grab a 17 wrench and tighten it up to where it feels normal to you. So that wasn't quite tight enough for me, so I wanted to do it a little bit more. I actually like my front end pretty stiff, or I mean tight compared to most people. I don't know why, it's just how I've always been. Now we're going to tighten our top clamp, and these I tighten to like 20 Newton meters. I just do 20 on the top, and then I do like 12 on the bottom. I know some factory teams were doing that. I think they changed up what they do. They always change it up per rider too. So that's pretty much all I do for daily maintenance. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want more videos like this, drop a comment.